The Silent Ascension. Commander Morgan Reed stood motionless on the observation deck of the ESS Harbinger, Earth's flagship vessel hidden in the shadow of Neptune. Through the transparent quantum glass, the distant sun appeared as nothing more than a bright star, while Neptune's azure storms swirled silently below. This was humanity's greatest secret, not the Harbinger itself, but what it represented. Status report. Reed commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 15 years in Earth's Vanguard Command. Lieutenant Takashi appeared at her side, neural interface glowing softly at his temple. All systems nominal, Commander. The dimensional shift drive is primed and the fleet remains undetected. Quantum communications are secure. Reed nodded, her reflection barely visible against the backdrop of stars. Earth had maintained the illusion of technological infancy for over a century, while the planet's public space programs fumbled with primitive rockets and limited orbital stations. Deep beneath the lunar surface and in Neptune's shadow, humanity had achieved what the Galactic Council believed impossible. And our observers? Reed asked. Still in position, the Council's monitoring outpost near Mars hasn't detected anything unusual. Takashi's neural interface pulsed as he processed incoming data streams. They still believe we're decades from achieving interplanetary travel beyond our rudimentary Mars colony. Reed allowed herself a rare smile. If only they knew. The door to the observation deck slid open with a whisper, admitting Dr. Elena Chandra, head of dimensional physics. Her dark eyes reflected the starlight as she approached. Commander, we've confirmed it. The Council outpost is scanning Earth with increasing frequency. Their communication patterns suggest they're preparing a formal assessment of our civilization. This was what they had been waiting for. After a century of careful observation, Earth had learned much about the Galactic Council, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species that maintained order across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They had watched Earth for centuries, cataloging humanity as a primitive, violent species best left to develop in isolation or, if necessary, to be controlled. What the Council didn't know was that Earth had detected their observation posts 60 years ago. What began as confusion quickly became opportunity. Humanity presented a carefully crafted facade of technological development, while their true advancements remained hidden. Then it's time, Reed said. Alert all ships in the fleet. Prepare for Operation Revelation. Across the solar system, in dimensional pockets invisible to conventional sensors, 30 vessels similar to the Harbinger received the command. Each ship carried technology that the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. Dimensional shift drives that allowed passage through the barriers between realities, quantum-entangled communications that couldn't be intercepted, and weapons that manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe. Dr. Chandra's tablet displayed a holographic representation of the solar system, highlighting the Council outpost. Their assessment team includes representatives from the Arcturus Collective and the Rigelian Dominion. Both species are considered moderates in Council politics. Good, Reed replied. That improves our chances for a diplomatic resolution. The true revelation wasn't just that Earth had achieved advanced spaceflight. It was that humanity had surpassed most Council species in technological development, all while maintaining the appearance of a planet still burning fossil fuels and celebrating their first steps on Mars. All ships report ready, Commander, Takashi announced. Dimensional shift coordinates locked. We can reveal ourselves whenever you give the order. Reed took a deep breath. This moment would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. Execute Phase 1. Let's introduce ourselves. Across the solar system, Earth's ships began to shift slightly in dimensional phase, becoming partially visible to the Council's sensors. Not enough to reveal their full capabilities, but enough to trigger alarms at the observation post. On the Council outpost orbiting in the asteroid belt, Senior Observer Krell of the Arcturus Collective stared in disbelief at the sensor readings. His crystalline exoskeleton reflected the red alert lights flashing throughout the station. Impossible, he chittered to his Rigelian colleague. These readings suggest multiple vessels throughout the system, but they're flickering in and out of our detection range. Ambassador Thela of the Regelian Dominion moved her serpentine body closer to the display, compound eyes blinking rapidly. These energy signatures don't match any known species technology. Contact the Council immediately. Earth may be under invasion. But before they could send their emergency transmission, every communication system on their outpost went silent. The quantum-entangled emergency beacon, their last resort, displayed an unexpected message in perfect galactic standard. Representatives of the Galactic Council, your presence in our solar system has been known to us for 60 years. We request a formal diplomatic meeting. Coordinates for a neutral location follow. Earth awaits your response. Krell's appendages trembled as he turned to Thela. This is impossible. Their development timeline suggested at least another century before such capabilities. Thela's scales shifted color from green to a pale blue of concern. We have gravely miscalculated. The Council must be informed immediately. Aboard the Harbinger, Reed watched the Council outpost through enhanced sensors. They've received our message. Quantum communications indicate they're attempting to contact the Council Nexus. Let them, Dr. Chandra said. We've invited them to meet us. Now we wait to see if they come as diplomats or conquerors. Reed nodded, her gaze fixed on the distant Earth, a small blue marble from this distance. Humanity has hidden long enough. It's time to take our place among the stars, not as subjects of the Council, but as equals. 3 days later, the Council's diplomatic vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel at the provided coordinates, a point in space halfway between Earth and Mars. The ship, an impressive display of the Council's technological prowess, was dwarfed by what awaited them. The Harbinger had fully shifted into normal space, its kilometer-long hull gleaming in the sunlight. Unlike the utilitarian designs of Council vessels, the Earth ship combined function with an undeniable aesthetic beauty. Curved lines of titanium diamond composite inlaid with circuits that glowed with subtle blue light. Inside the Harbinger's diplomatic chamber, Commander Reed stood with Earth's small delegation. Dr. Chandra, Lieutenant Takashi, and Admiral Helena Diaz, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's secret fleet. They're scanning us, Takashi reported, very thoroughly. Let them, Admiral Diaz replied, her weathered face impassive. They'll find exactly what we want them to see. The diplomatic chamber featured a circular table with Earth's symbol, a modified United Nations emblem, projected above it. When the Council representatives transported aboard, they found themselves in an environment carefully calibrated to their biological needs, with gravity, atmosphere, and temperature adjusted to their comfort. Senior Observer Krell and Ambassador Thela materialized along with 3 other Council species, a methane-breathing Proximan, a silicon-based Hasitan, and a being composed primarily of electromagnetic energy contained within a specialized environment suit. Welcome aboard the HFY Harbinger, Reed began, speaking in galactic standard. I am Commander Morgan Reed of Earth's Vanguard Command. Krell's crystalline appendages clicked in what humans had learned was a gesture of surprise. You speak our language. We've had 60 years to study your communications, Admiral Diaz explained. We know a great deal about the Galactic Council. Ambassador Thela moved forward, her serpentine body coiling slightly. Then you understand that the Council oversees the development and integration of all spacefaring species in this sector. Your unexpected advancement requires assessment and supervision. Reed smiled diplomatically. With respect, Ambassador, Earth has developed without Council supervision for our entire history. We see no reason for that to change now. The Tav-Sitan's silicon structure vibrated, producing a voice that sounded like grinding stones. Your species was deemed too volatile for contact. Your wars, your environmental damage. These suggested a civilization not ready for the responsibilities of interstellar capabilities. Yet here we are, Dr. Chandra interjected. While you watched our public struggles, you missed our private triumphs. The dimensional shift technology that powers our fleet exists because we approached physics from a perspective different from any Council species. Reed gestured, and a holographic display appeared above the table, showing the 30 vessels of Earth's fleet emerging from their dimensional pockets throughout the solar system. Each ship was unique in design but similar in capabilities, far beyond what the Council believed possible for Earth. "This is merely the beginning," Reed continued. "Earth does not seek conflict with the Galactic Council. We seek recognition as equals and the right to determine our own path among the stars." The electromagnetic being pulsed intensely, its translation device converting the pulses to speech. "The Council will never accept a species that has concealed such capabilities. You will be declared a threat and contained." Admiral Diaz's expression remained neutral, but her voice carried an edge of steel. "That would be unwise. You've seen only a fraction of what we can do. We've studied every Council species, every technology, every weakness. We don't want war, but we are prepared for it." Reed raised a hand, calling for calm. "What my colleague means is that conflict serves neither of our interests. Earth proposes a new relationship with the Council, not as a subject species, but as a new member with full rights and representation." The Council representatives exchanged glances, communicating through subtle gestures and electromagnetic pulses. Finally, Krell spoke. "The Council must be informed of these developments. We will return to Council space and convey your proposal. Until then, all Earth vessels are to remain within this solar system. Any attempt to expand beyond these boundaries will be considered an act of aggression." Reed nodded. "We understand. We await the Council's response." After the Council representatives had departed, Admiral Diaz turned to Reed. "They'll return with a fleet. The Council has never encountered a species that developed so quickly without their oversight. They'll see us as a threat regardless of our intentions. Then we proceed with Phase 2, Reed replied. "If they won't accept us as equals, we'll have to demonstrate why they should." Lieutenant Takashi's neural interface pulsed. "Commander, the Council ship has engaged its FTL drive. They're heading back to Council space." Reed looked out at the stars through the observation window. "And so it begins. Humanity's true first contact." She turned to her team. "Prepare all ships. The Council's response will define the course of human history among the stars." What the Council didn't know, what Earth had kept hidden behind their dimensional technology, was that humanity had already expanded far beyond their solar system. Phase 2 would reveal just how far humanity had already gone, and how much more lay ahead. The dimensional checkmate. 3 weeks passed before the Council returned, not with diplomats, but with a fleet. 50 vessels arranged in a hemispheric formation emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their message was transmitted on all frequencies in galactic standard. "Attention Earth vessels. By decree of the Galactic Council, your solar system is now under quarantine. No ships may depart without Council authorization. Compliance is mandatory. Resistance will be met with appropriate force." Aboard the Harbinger, Commander Reed watched the tactical display with calm resolve. The Council fleet was impressive, each ship representing centuries of technological development, crewed by species with far more experience in interstellar warfare than humanity. "They're establishing a blockade formation," Lieutenant Takashi reported. "Long-range weapons are powered but not targeting. Defensive shields at maximum." Admiral Diaz joined Reed on the command deck, her expression grim. "Predictable. The Council has never encountered a species that developed beyond their monitoring. Their only response is containment." Reed nodded. "Then we proceed as planned. Signal all ships to prepare for dimensional anchor deployment." Across Earth's solar system, the 30 vessels of humanity's revealed fleet began powering up systems that had remained dormant until now. Each ship generated a quantum field that extended through multiple dimensions, invisible to conventional sensors, but creating a network throughout the solar system. Dr. Chandra monitored the process from her station. Dimensional anchor network at 60% and rising. The Council ships are detecting energy fluctuations but can't identify the source. Open a channel to the Council flagship, Reed ordered. The main display shifted to show a being Reed recognized as a High Counselor of the Alteran Hegemony, one of the founding species of the Galactic Council. Its translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that conveyed both rank and emotional state. Currently, those patterns indicated irritation and concern. "This is Commander Morgan Reed of Earth. We acknowledge your presence but reject your quarantine. The Council has no authority over Earth or its people." The Alteran's translator converted its light patterns to speech. "Your rejection is irrelevant, Commander. Earth has developed technologies deemed destabilizing to galactic peace. You will submit to Council authority or face the consequences." Reed maintained her diplomatic tone. "We have no desire for conflict, Counselor. We seek only the recognition of Earth's sovereignty and our right to explore the stars on our own terms. Perhaps a direct meeting would be more productive than this show of force." The Alteran's patterns shifted to something resembling amusement. "Your proposal is noted, Commander. However, the Council has determined that direct negotiation with Earth is premature. You will stand down your fleet and prepare for a Council assessment team." Reed exchanged glances with Admiral Diaz, who gave a subtle nod. "Very well, Counselor. If you insist on this approach, we have no choice but to demonstrate why it's unwise." Before the Alteran could respond, Reed signaled to Dr. Chandra, who activated the dimensional anchor network. Throughout the solar system, space itself seemed to ripple as the quantum field stabilized. "What is happening?" demanded the Alteran, its patterns showing alarm. "Our sensors are detecting spatial distortions throughout this system." Reed's expression remained composed. "What you're experiencing is a dimensional anchor network, technology beyond the Council's current understanding. It creates a localized bubble of altered spacetime. Within this bubble, certain physical laws can be adjusted." As if to demonstrate, the Harbinger shifted partially out of phase, becoming translucent before reappearing several kilometers from its original position. Throughout the solar system, Earth's ships performed similar maneuvers, appearing and disappearing at will. "Your blockade cannot contain us, Counselor," Reed continued. "We can move through dimensions your sensors cannot detect. Your weapons cannot target what exists partially outside normal spacetime." The Alteran's patterns now pulsed with what humans had learned indicated shock. Such technology violates fundamental principles of physics the Council has never encountered. "Precisely," Admiral Diaz interrupted. "The Council has never encountered humanity's approach to science. While you've refined the same technologies for millennia, we've explored entirely new directions." Reed raised a hand. "But this demonstration isn't meant as a threat. It's an invitation to genuine dialogue. I propose a direct meeting on your Council nexus. Let us present our case to the full Council." The tactical display showed the Council ships attempting to adjust their sensors, trying unsuccessfully to maintain locks on Earth's vessels as they shifted partially between dimensions. After a long moment, the Alteran responded, its pattern settling into a formal configuration. "The Council will grant your request for a hearing. One vessel may approach the Nexus. Any hostile action will result in immediate retaliation against Earth itself." Reed nodded. "Understood. The Harbinger will depart for the Nexus in 24 hours. We look forward to a productive discussion." After the communication ended, Admiral Diaz turned to Reed. "They're frightened. No species has ever demonstrated technology the Council couldn't understand or counter." "Fear can lead to rash decisions," Reed cautioned. "We need to convince them we're not a threat, unless they make us one." She turned to Lieutenant Takashi. "Prepare the Harbinger for departure, and signal Phoenix Base to proceed with Phase 3. Takashi's neural interface pulsed as he processed the command. "Phoenix Base acknowledges. Phase 3 is underway." What the Council didn't know, what would truly shock them, was that Phoenix Base wasn't on Earth or anywhere in the solar system. The true extent of humanity's reach was about to be revealed. The journey to the Council Nexus took 3 days at the Harbinger's maximum dimensional shift speed, far faster than conventional Council vessels could travel. The Nexus itself was an artificial structure orbiting a neutron star in the galactic core, constructed from materials that could withstand the extreme gravitational forces. Its size dwarfed even the largest Council battleships, a physical manifestation of the Council's power and technological prowess. As the Harbinger approached, escorted by 12 Council warships, Reed prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. Joining her were Dr. Chandra, Admiral Diaz, and Earth's newly appointed ambassador to galactic affairs, Dr. Omar Syed, a diplomat who had spent 30 years studying the Council's complex political structures. Remember, Dr. Syed advised as they prepared to board the Nexus, the Council consists of 17 voting members, but only 5 hold veto power. The Alterans, Rigelians, and Arcturians are the most likely to oppose us. The Tau-Cetans and Proximans may be persuaded by our technological achievements. Reed nodded. Our goal isn't just recognition. It's alliance. They need to understand what's coming. The Council chamber was an enormous amphitheater, with delegates from all 17 member species seated according to their status and influence. At the center stood a platform where Reed and her team would present Earth's case. High Councilor Jet of the Alteran hegemony opened the proceedings, its bioluminescent patterns formal and severe. Representatives of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your deception and unauthorized technological development. How do you respond? Reed stepped forward, her uniform immaculate, her posture confident but non-threatening. Honorable Councilors, Earth does not recognize the Council's authority to restrict our development or exploration. We hid our advances not out of malice, but because your observation of our planet made your intentions clear. You saw humanity as primitive, violent, and unworthy of joining galactic society as equals. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as translation devices conveyed her words to each species present. Nevertheless, Reed continued, we come not as adversaries, but as potential allies. Humanity offers the Council something it desperately needs, though you may not realize it yet. The Rigelian delegate, a massive serpentine being, hissed through its translator. What could Earth possibly offer the Council that we don't already possess? Dr. Chandra stepped forward, activating a holographic display that expanded to fill the chamber's central space. Knowledge of the Void Dwellers. The chamber fell silent. The term Void Dwellers translated differently for each species present, but the concept was universal, an ancient threat mentioned in the oldest records of every Council species, beings that existed partially outside normal spacetime. Impossible. The Arcturus representative chittered. The Void Dwellers are myths, stories to frighten offspring. Admiral Diaz shook her head. They are very real. Earth's dimensional research accidentally contacted them 60 years ago. It's why we accelerated our technological development, and why we maintained secrecy. We've been preparing for their return. The hologram shifted to show strange geometries that seemed to hurt the eyes of those watching. Structures that shouldn't be possible in 3-dimensional space. Our dimensional technology wasn't developed just for space travel, Reed explained. It was created to detect and counter beings that exist primarily in other dimensions, but can affect our reality. Beings that have visited this galaxy before, according to your own ancient records. The Tau-Cetan delegate's silicon structure vibrated intensely. If what you say is true, why have our scientists detected no evidence of these Void Dwellers? Dr. Syed answered, his voice calm and measured. Because you've been looking in the wrong dimensions. Your science has developed linearly for millennia, refining the same technologies. Humanity took a different path, one that led us to discover what exists between the dimensions you can perceive. Reed gestured, and the hologram shifted again, now showing a map of the galaxy with hundreds of points highlighted. These are locations where the dimensional barrier is weakening. Our sensors can detect them. Yours cannot. Each represents a potential incursion point. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translated exclamations. High Counselor Jet silenced them with a pulse of intense light. Even if we accept your claims, the Altaran said, why should the council trust Earth? You have deceived us for generations. Reed's expression remained resolute. Because the Void Dwellers don't distinguish between humans and Altarans, between Regelians and Taucetans. They perceive all life in our dimension as resources to be harvested. We need each other to survive what's coming. She nodded to Lieutenant Takashi, who activated a secure quantum communication channel. The holographic display changed once more, now showing real-time feeds from locations throughout the galaxy, planets, moons, and asteroids where human outposts had been established, all outside Council space. While you believed us contained to our solar system, humanity has already established a network of monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, Reed explained, not for conquest, but for early detection. Phase 3 of our plan is already complete. We can detect dimensional incursions anywhere in the Milky Way. The Council representatives stared in shock at the extent of human presence beyond Earth. This is why we revealed ourselves now, Reed continued. The dimensional barriers are weakening faster than predicted. We estimate less than 5 years before the first major incursion. Humanity cannot face this threat alone, nor can the Council. We need to combine our technologies, our perspectives, our strengths. Admiral Dias stepped forward. Earth proposes a new alliance, not as subjects of the Council, but as equal partners against an existential threat. Our dimensional technology combined with your established infrastructure could create a defense network spanning the galaxy. For several moments, silence filled the chamber as the Council members communicated through their various means: light patterns, pheromones, electromagnetic pulses, and subvocal vibrations. Finally, High Counselor Jet spoke. The Council must verify your claims about these Void Dwellers. If confirmed, your proposal will be considered. Until then, Earth representatives will remain here while we dispatch scientific teams to investigate. Reed shook her head. That won't be necessary, Counselor. In approximately 3 minutes, you'll have all the verification you need. As if on cue, alarms sounded throughout the Nexus. Emergency displays activated, showing a dimensional distortion forming near the neutron star, a ripple in spacetime that Council sensors had never been calibrated to detect. What is happening? Demanded the Proximan delegate, its methane atmosphere swirling agitatedly in its containment suit. Reed's expression remained calm. A minor incursion, one we detected approaching and allowed to continue. Don't worry, the Harbinger can contain it. This is merely a demonstration. Outside the Nexus, the fabric of space seemed to tear open, revealing glimpses of geometries and colors that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. From this rift emerged tendrils of dark matter that reached toward the neutron star's energy. Before the Council fleet could respond, the Harbinger moved into position, its dimensional drives creating a counterfield that began to collapse the rift. The process took less than a minute, but it was enough to prove everything Reed had claimed. When the rift closed completely, Reed turned back to the stunned Council. That was a small incursion, easily contained. The ones we're detecting forming throughout the galaxy will be much larger. Now shall we discuss our alliance? High Counselor Jet's patterns had shifted to what humans recognized as grudging respect. The Council will convene in private to consider Earth's proposal. You have given us much to discuss, Commander Reed. As the Earth delegation was escorted to a waiting area, Admiral Dias spoke quietly to Reed. Do you think they'll agree? Reed watched the Council members filing out of the chamber, their body language and communications patterns already showing the impact of what they'd witnessed. They don't have a choice. Neither do we. The Void Dwellers are coming, and this galaxy is their hunting ground. She turned to face her team, determination in her eyes. Earth's nightmare fleet was just the beginning, our first step into a much larger universe. What comes next will determine the survival of all life in this galaxy. In the waiting chamber, Reed looked out at the neutron star glowing intensely against the backdrop of the galactic core. Humanity had hidden in the shadows for generations, watching and learning. Now they would step into the light, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians against a threat only they fully understood. The Galactic Council was about to discover that Earth's technological achievements were merely the foundation for what humanity had become, and what they were prepared to do to ensure the survival of all sentient life.